We've all heard the same retirement advice for decades. Save aggressively, invest consistently, and eventually build a portfolio large enough to replace your paycheck. That idea sounds clean. It looks great in a spreadsheet. But when you step away from theory and look at how retirement actually works in the real world, the picture changes. Because most retirees are not withdrawing a fixed percentage from their portfolio every year. Many aren't withdrawing regularly at all. And when they do, the amounts are often smaller and more situational than most models assume. So that raises an important question, one I see come up again and again. If retirees aren't living off their investments, what are they actually living on? Today, I want to reframe how we think about retirement income, not by focusing on portfolio size, but by looking at how income really shows up in retirement, how people actually behave, and why investments often play a supporting role rather than the leading one.
For many households, Social Security isn't extra money. It's the backbone of the retirement plan. Depending on income level and household structure, Social Security can cover a large portion of essential expenses. For some retirees, it covers the majority of them. That makes it incredibly powerful, especially because of how it works. It's inflation adjusted, it's paid for life, and it shows up regardless of what the market is doing. That combination is rare. Most income sources can offer growth or flexibility or longevity, but not all three. Social Security does. Even for higher income households, Social Security still plays a foundational role. Two coordinated benefits can significantly reduce the pressure on a portfolio, especially in the early years of retirement. And that reduction matters more than people expect, because when your essentials are covered by reliable income, you don't need your investments to behave perfectly. You can wait out market downturns. You can spend more confidently in good years, and you can make decisions based on life, not fear. When essentials are covered by guaranteed income, everything else becomes more optional, and that optionality is one of the most underappreciated advantages in retirement planning.
Pensions are less common today than they were decades ago, but they haven't disappeared. And where they still exist, they matter a lot. A pension often functions like a second Social Security check. It covers core expenses, adds predictability, and reduces the need for portfolio withdrawals. That predictability changes how retirement feels on a day-to-day basis. When income shows up automatically, month after month, financial decisions become calmer and more deliberate. This creates two very different retirement experiences. Some retirees rely heavily on investments because they don't have pensions. Their portfolio has to do more work earlier and more consistently. Others barely touch their portfolios at all. Their income floor is already strong enough to handle everyday living. That difference isn't about discipline or financial sophistication. It's about the structure of income. And this uneven distribution explains a lot of what we see in real-world retirement behavior. It explains why some retirees spend confidently through market downturns, while others feel pressure even in good years. Pensions don't just provide income, they provide margin, and margin is what gives retirees room to breathe.
When researchers look at retirees aged 65 and older, income generally comes from 5 places: Social Security, pensions and retirement accounts, continued or part-time work, investment income, and other miscellaneous sources. What's striking is that investment income is rarely the dominant source. For most retirees, the foundation of their income comes from Social Security and, where available, pensions or annuities. These are income streams people plan around. They arrive consistently. They're often inflation adjusted, and in many cases, they last for life. That reliability matters more than most people realize. When your core expenses are covered by predictable income, the pressure on everything else drops dramatically. Investments, on the other hand, tend to show up differently. They provide flexibility, not stability. They're accessed when needed, not relied on every single month. This is why real-world withdrawal behavior looks so different from traditional retirement models.
Most retirees aren't pulling a fixed percentage every year. They're using their portfolio selectively when expenses spike, when opportunities arise, or when life throws something unexpected their way. And once you see this pattern, it becomes clear. Retirement income isn't about replacing a paycheck. It's about coordinating multiple sources so no single one has to carry all the weight. The biggest misconception about retirement is that income needs to come from one place. A portfolio replaces a paycheck. End of story. But retirement income doesn't work like a straight line. It works like a stack of layers. Each layer serves a different purpose, and each layer shows up differently over time. Some income is designed to be steady and predictable. Some income is flexible and only used when it's needed. And some income exists purely to absorb shocks, not to fund everyday life. This is why real retirement rarely looks clean or linear. Income doesn't arrive the same way every month, and spending doesn't either. Life happens in phases, not formulas. What matters most isn't maximizing any single income source. It's understanding how those sources interact, how one layer can reduce pressure on another, how flexibility in one area creates stability in another. When you see retirement this way, the goal shifts. It's no longer about forcing your portfolio to behave like a paycheck. It's about building a system where different income sources support different needs. And once you understand that distinction, retirement planning becomes less rigid, less stressful, and far more realistic. One of the most overlooked retirement income sources is continued work. Not because retirees have to work, but because many choose to. Retirement is rarely an on-off switch. For most people, it's a gradual transition from full-time work to more flexible, self-directed roles. Work shows up in many forms: part-time roles, consulting, seasonal projects, or self-employment. Often, it's work on their own terms, with control over time, pace, and commitment. And even modest work income can have an outsized impact. A relatively small paycheck can cover everyday spending, protecting the portfolio in the early years, when sequence of returns risk is highest. It can also allow people to delay claiming Social Security, permanently increasing lifetime benefits. Just as importantly, work income can fund lifestyle choices, travel, hobbies, or helping family without forcing investment withdrawals at the wrong time. This isn't about survival. It's not about clinging to a paycheck or delaying freedom. It's about preserving optionality, having more choices, more flexibility, and more control over how retirement actually unfolds.